Hey, this is Anthony Cesare with SuccessForYourSongs.com, and in this video we're going to be looking at a quick little arrangement trick that you can use when you're putting together what instruments you want to be using in the song that you're writing. I'm going to be referencing Our Love is a Work of Art in this video, so I've got a link for that song in the upper right hand corner of this video, so pause this, check that out, and then come back. Okay. So one thing that you may have noticed in that song, arrangement-wise, is there is a string part that happens in the choruses. So you can hear that here.
We craft it with synergy, a portrait of who we are.
So one thing you might have noticed about that part is, while it is throughout the entire chorus, it's pretty tucked away when the vocals are happening. There's some staccato notes that are happening during the vocals, but then when the vocal stops, there is a break in between melodic lines, and in those sections, the strings come up and they get much more drawn out and much more noticeable there. So that's really, you know, the point I wanted to make in this video is when you're arranging and you have this a part of your song, a part of your arrangement that you're not sure how to work in, think about your melody. I mean, that's the most important thing, and you don't want to be stepping on that with what you're doing with other instruments. So if you do have another instrument that could be considered melodic, you could still bring it in as a melodic element or even as a hook. But just be cautious about, you know, how it's going against the vocal, and try and tuck it in between the vocal melody if you can. If you have not yet subscribed to this YouTube channel, please click that little subscribe button in the lower right hand side of the video, and also click the all notifications button so that you get updated when our latest videos are released. And if you're looking for a lot more techniques, I've got a couple of free cheat sheets for you that you can download in the upper right-hand side of the screen. So grab those if you haven't already. Instant gratification being so important these days. You know, the days of just, you know, strumming out guitar parts and having long pauses in between melodic phrases doesn't happen as much anymore. So when you are putting together an arrangement, having little pieces that can kind of come up in the mix a bit when a vocal isn't happening can work if your melodic lines aren't super close together, which they may be. But a similar thing happens in this song, even in the verses, with a different part. There's a part that's in the intro. It's I believe it was a piano and like a very high-pitched bass blended together. And that created this little melody at the intro. But then you'll hear, once it goes into the verses, that part still exists, but it kind of ducks out when the vocals come in. So take a listen to that.
Your smile was a colorful scene that sparked all these dreams, though our souls had just met.
So you can see it still existed, but in a totally different way once the vocals came in. You always want the vocals to be the most important thing that's happening. There was a similar thing that I did in What Time Is It Where You Are, where the intro is this chime kind of sound. And in this song, once the verses kick in, it goes away in the first verse, but then it returns in the second verse, because sometimes it's kind of cool to have an element that wasn't in one verse come in the next one, just as like a little kind of extra thing that happens. A little added detail that only happens in one verse that didn't happen in the other. So let's take a look at that. You'll notice how it ducks out after the break in right after the vocals kick in, and then I'll show you the second verse where it comes back.
I'm just sitting here alone,
So now it's gone.
staring down a globe.
But in the second verse, it comes back in a limited capacity. So check that out.
Distant, we could be right on by 42 million feet. This planet's other side.
So you can hear that just the start of that little phrase is still in there, and reintroduced in the second verse, just to, something that's little extra thing added in, but it's still kind of familiar because of it being in the introduction originally. You can be more subtle with this kind of idea. You can have chords that are being played on your piano or your guitar, and those just get lifted up just a little bit and maybe played a little bit more aggressively when the vocals aren't there. You can hear an example of that in the Beatles song, A Day in the Life. If you just listen to the first verse, you'll notice that when the vocals aren't there, the piano part comes up, and it usually gets a little more detailed in how it's being played as well. And then when the vocals come back in, recognizing how important that is, that piano part ducks down again. So this is something that is pretty common technique. It just depends on how detailed you want to get with it. If you want to have an entire hooky part that's introduced, that's one thing, or you can even just do it with your rhythm instruments and do it that way. So hopefully this information helped you out. If you'd like to hear the songs in this video again, tap the screen here for that, and you can even save them and stream them with that link. Also, if you haven't yet downloaded our free songwriting cheat sheet for a lot more techniques for writing better music, you can grab that by tapping here on the screen. And if you haven't yet subscribed to this YouTube channel to stay updated on our latest songwriting videos, you can tap our logo on the screen for that. Thank you for checking this one out.